Under Noah's pale moonlight, Olivia made her return to the country, holding a grudge against me. As a result, Noah arranged for my imprisonment. When I was released, Noah came to pick me up. "Don't upset her anymore. I'm still here to support you," he said. I smiled and replied, "No need. I've found someone new." I entered the car of his sworn enemy, causing Noah's expression to shift instantly. "How dare you be involved with someone else?" he exclaimed. Upon exiting prison, Noah arrived in a sports car, casually leaning against the door, appearing out of place in the dusty prison environment. He handed me a cigarette. "You've been through a lot," he remarked, lighting it for me with unexpected kindness. "Let's go buy some jewelry as a gesture of apology." I looked into his handsome face, his deep eyes obscured by long eyelashes, always enigmatic about his thoughts. With a seemingly indifferent smile, he continued, "Go back to Olivia and apologize, assuring her that you won't upset her again. I'll find a secluded villa where she doesn't know you're there and hide you. Olivia is his fiancée and my nemesis, the very person who could have had me imprisoned with just a word, nearly costing me my life." Now, having survived and been released, Noah expects me to seek her forgiveness. Observing his carefree demeanor, memories from 3 years ago resurfaced. 3 years prior, in a similar situation, Noah had offered me a cigarette when I was destitute. "I heard your family is bankrupt. Why not come with me?" At that time, my family had indeed fallen apart. My father had abandoned us, leaving my seriously ill mother and me with nothing. My mother required a substantial amount of money, and even juggling 3 jobs a day wasn't enough. I reached out to all my friends for help, even resorting to begging on my knees when things got particularly tough, but all I received was ridicule. This society idolizes the wealthy and scorns the poor, pushing me toward a dead end. In my bleakest hour, Noah became my savior. I became his mistress, and my mother received the medical treatment she needed. I moved into his villa, drove his sports car, and received exclusive, high-end jewelry from him. Noah told me to simply enjoy everything. As our relationship deepened, he kissed me one late night in the bedroom. "Stay by my side, just be happy," he urged. "Don't think too much." However, having experienced bankruptcy once, I changed my lazy nature. I forced myself to exercise, practice yoga, and maintain a good figure. I underwent cosmetic treatments to preserve my appearance. I picked up the long-forgotten piano and violin, always ready to perform for Noah. I even studied economics, arts, and literature to engage in conversations with him when needed. The harsh reality after bankruptcy taught me one thing. If someone is willing to support you financially, you'd better keep them happy. I used to be known in the social circle as arrogant and unreasonable, but now I've even learned baking and cooking. I've taken up horseback riding. If Noah needs it, I can visit his horse farm on the outskirts whenever required. Noah once pinched my chin while gently stroking my face. "Actually, you don't need to go to all this trouble," he said. "Just dress nicely and look beautiful." I responded with a charming, conventional smile. "Mr. Noah, I'm eager to please you." Noah had helped me, and I wanted to be devoted, but I became overly committed. So much so that I lost sight of the fact that I was meant to be Noah's mere pastime, supported by his money. I even started to secretly fantasize about growing old with him. Before my family went bankrupt, I was regarded as a socialite within my circle. Consequently, no one had informed me that a key rule for a mistress is to avoid falling in love. Doing so would lead to despair. Unaware of this, when Noah's pale moonlight saw Olivia return to the country, I had to confront the consequences. Noah was in love with Olivia, and Olivia reciprocated feelings for Ryan. The day she pursued Ryan abroad, Noah took me in. Later, I realized that Noah was supporting me because Olivia and I were the least compatible in the circle, basically arch enemies. He was venting his frustration that Olivia didn't love him. Unfortunately, at that time, I thought Noah liked me. I had no sense of danger. Noah hadn't come to see me for a long time. I thought he was busy. I called him, but he hung up directly. I assumed he was occupied. One day, he returned and went straight to sleep, leaving red marks on his neck. I still thought he was either too busy or his immune system was weak and he had developed a rash. Early the next morning, after much struggling, he embraced me tiredly. "I won't ignore you. Trust me," he said. I was very touched, believing he had been too occupied and was now finally attending to me. It wasn't until Olivia showed up at my door that I realized what he had been busy with. Olivia looked at me like a championship dog eyeing a stray. "Anna, how can you be someone's mistress?" she sneered. "Noah proposed to me last night and I accepted." She showed me a ring. "Anna, do you know what a mistress is? I wouldn't even bother with someone like that. She's not worthy of being called a rival, just an object for release." I looked at the ring, which I had shown Noah once. I had been shy when showing it to him, already imagining what kind of wedding dress I would wear. But now it was on Olivia's finger. I wanted to endure it, but I couldn't. The word whore was too harsh, and that ring was too glaring. Noah had been too good to me, making me feel I had the right to compete with Olivia. I raised my hand and, with a swing from left to right, slapped Olivia twice, the sound sharp and crisp. Olivia covered her face in shock. "I work out regularly and have some strength," I said. She looked at me coldly and after a while chuckled. "Do you think Noah really spoils you? Anna, he's just using you to piss me off. Just wait. There will be times when you cry." I felt anxious at that moment, but when Noah returned that night, he didn't scold me. Instead, he treated me even more harshly. I was almost falling asleep when he carried me to take a bath. Before I drifted off, he lightly said, "Olivia is important to me. You shouldn't hit her." I nestled into his arms, trying to open my eyes to look at him. Noah held me, smelling my hair. "You need a little punishment to behave," he remarked. "I thought the punishment would just be a good workout." I shyly kissed his chin. Okay, I had been trained to be like a canary. As long as I could still be kept in a cage, I felt happy and secure. Noah's behavior afterward showed no signs of anger. He even took me to the company and taught me about business. I was grateful and focused on learning. Whatever Noah asked me to do, I would do it obediently. Some of the tasks seemed strange, but I didn't hesitate to perform them. A month later, Noah's lawyer sued me for embezzlement. I wasn't even aware of the accusation and was completely bewildered. When I went to see Noah, the office was locked, and the usual password didn't work. I called him on a number I could always reach, but it was out of service. Eventually, the police arrested me and took me to jail. I hadn't been able to contact Noah. Only his lawyer left me a cold message. "Behave well in there, I'll take care of your mother." And that's how I ended up in prison, feeling utterly hopeless. Life behind bars was harsh. I was beaten as soon as I arrived, my eyes swollen shut. Later, I was beaten until I couldn't get up, then again until I knelt begging for mercy. After that, I died once and then started fighting back, retaliating. I was covered in wounds, gritting my teeth like a desperate and enraged mad dog. Whoever provoked me, I would bite their throat. When I was released from prison, no one in the women's prison dared to mess with me. The former heiress, the mistresses, all were gone. What remained was a mad dog, carrying the remnants of my life. Today, this mad dog was released, and Noah was waiting for me at the gate. He patted my head casually with a slight smile on his lips. "You better behave from now on. Don't make her angry. I will still take care of you." He buried his head in my neck, inhaling my hair, washed with cheap shampoo. The scent had changed, but it would return soon. He still saw me as the delicate canary who loved being in a cage. Unfortunately, I wasn't anymore. I was a mad dog, covered in wounds, filled with hatred and vengeance. I struggled to break free from his embrace. Noah frowned unhappily. "What's wrong?" I pointed to a parked car nearby. "Sorry, I've found a new man." Without looking back, I got into the car. As the window rolled down slowly, a young, handsome, and free-spirited face smiled at Noah. "Long time no see." Noah's expression darkened gradually. Ryan used to dislike me a lot. Coming from a self-made family, he had been ridiculed by the old money families and had never liked people like us. But when I was in prison, it seemed like the whole world had forgotten about me. Yet he was the only one who came to see me. I saw his puzzled expression and asked him why he had come. Ryan, with his long legs propped up, looked me over. "I think you're a pity," he said. "I remember you. After going bankrupt, you didn't wail and lament but worked hard as a mistress." He mentioned two things that had left a deep impression on him. First, when Noah was out socializing and got drunk, almost falling over, I rushed to support him and acted as a human cushion, even though my palm got scratched and bled. I didn't flinch or even frown. Second, one time he saw me coming out of a bookstore carrying a few books on modern art investment. A week later, he heard that Noah had become interested in a modern art auction, purchasing a metal artwork whose value had increased considerably. Ryan leaned forward. "So I think you're a pity. You treated being a mistress as an important job. Despite working so diligently, you couldn't compare to Olivia. Just frowning or pretending to be spoiled. Noah must be blind, hitting me where it hurts." I remained silent, hanging my head. Ryan smiled. "But I'm not blind. Anna, come find me when you're out. I'm more reliable than Noah." He saw determination and aggressiveness in my eyes, traits he needed. So, on the day of my release, right in front of Noah, I got into Ryan's car. Ryan chuckled while driving. By getting into my car, Noah must be furious. At a red light, he even took out his phone and took a picture with me. "Picking up my babe? Let's celebrate tonight." Almost immediately, Noah messaged me, "Anna, is this how you want to play? Who doesn't know I've been with you for 3 years? Do you think anyone wouldn't mind?" I looked out the window without saying a word. In a corner of my heart, there was a sharp and painful ache. Indeed, someone you've been with for 3 years knows best how to undermine your self-esteem. But the more it hurts, the more I will hate Olivia. Ryan called. In our social circle, there's a strange tendency. When we, who are usually the center of attention, meet someone who doesn't care about us, we become even more obsessed with them. Ryan had a rebellious nature, and if the circle rejected him, he would scorn that group. Once it was said that Olivia was treating everyone to drinks, but Ryan, in a bad mood, slammed his glass down, turned around, and walked away without giving Olivia any face. Instead, it made Olivia think about him, and she pursued him even when she went abroad. Olivia urgently asked over the phone, "Ryan, when did you two get together?" "Just now, I successfully confessed my love," Ryan replied carelessly. Olivia anxiously said, "Don't you know? Anna let Noah sleep with her for 3 years, and when he got tired of her, he kicked her to jail. Noah didn't even see her as anything special." "Ryan, aren't you disgusted?" She looked at me with disdain. "She was a mistress, you know." I bit my lip, closed my eyes hard. I knew Ryan wouldn't mind because he wasn't really trying to sleep with me, but I still gritted my teeth. I remembered my past, feeling like the air was mocking me, ridiculing me, but I had no regrets. When life wanted to break my pride, it didn't need a big fuss. Just a bankruptcy application, a sick mother to make me beg on my knees. I had simply bowed my head under pressure. Olivia and I had been competing for years. From dresses to jewelry to travel to connections and boyfriends, we were neck and neck all the way. But now we had finally determined a winner and a loser. Olivia won, but she won by luck, and I lost to fate. Ryan glanced at me, one hand on the steering wheel, the other patting my hand. He interrupted Olivia's chatter. "No, shouldn't you be ashamed?" Olivia was confused. Ryan repeated word for word, "Aren't you the one who should be ashamed? You, a woman who has known Anna since childhood, clearly knew that Anna's mother was seriously ill. And Noah, as a friend, took advantage of Anna in her vulnerable state. You didn't stand up for Anna. Instead, you helped a man trample on a girl's reputation. How about that? Are you a real man? You find Anna dirty? I'm not disgusted by Anna. I'm disgusted by your heart." Olivia remained silent for a while. After a few seconds, she cried in anger and hung up the phone. Meanwhile, I stared blankly at Ryan. He raised an eyebrow and said, "I guess I can be quite eloquent, huh?" I nodded in a daze. Just then, as the car drove out of the shade, sunlight shone on his face from my side, warm and gentle. Suddenly my mood improved, and I smiled, saying, "Thank you." That night at the restaurant, Ryan announced to a group of people that we were together. Olivia came in with Noah, her chin held high. Ryan hugged me and said, "This is my girlfriend. Take good care of her." Olivia's friend looked at me and said, "But aren't you with Noah? I saw you two having dinner together the day before he went to jail." Unfortunately, as soon as Olivia returned, Noah began cleaning up the mess. Olivia laughed. Noah, with a cold expression, said, "We weren't together, just fooling around." He glanced at me, embraced by Ryan, a hint of cruelty in his smile. Old toys? Once you're tired of them, toss them where they belong. I clenched my fist, wanting to retort. Ryan patted me on the back, whispered in my ear, "Don't worry, I got this." He raised his glass and teased, "Why is Noah's face so pale? Is he unwell? Take care of yourself then? Because you think it's a game while the other person may be suffering? You think it's pleasure while the other person just wants it to be over quickly?" Noah asked, "What do you mean?" Leaning against me with his tall stature, Ryan replied, "It means nothing. I just heard a lot of complaints from Anna. Remembered a few lines. That's all." He pinched my cheek. "Anna, right?" Blushing, I nodded. "Why do you remember all of that?" "Don't bring it up in front of everyone." Noah's face grew even paler. The room fell silent, and everyone's gaze towards him was awkward. Noah gritted his teeth but remained silent. With his temperament, he would have left long ago on any other day. Yet today, although angry, he didn't move. It truly surprised me. I had a few more drinks, feeling a bit tipsy, and went to the corridor to get some fresh air. In less than a minute, Noah followed me and stood beside me asking, "Were those words really from you, telling Ryan?" Buzzed, I replied with a smirk, "You guess." Noah, looking pale, said, "I'm not guessing, tell me yourself. You used to tearfully beg me to confess to you." I furrowed my brows, cutting off his recollection. "I didn't tell Ryan those words." He breathed a sigh of relief. I continued, "But every time I was with you, I treated it like a test, only caring about how many points I could score. Who cares how you performed? I don't care. I don't feel anything." Noah's face darkened. I smiled at him. "Am I pretending? Well, am I worth the allowance you give me?" Noah gritted his teeth. "Anna, you're deliberately trying to provoke me." I shrugged and walked towards the private room. "If you feel provoked, then so be it, as long as you're happy." Noah grabbed my wrist. "You think you can just leave once you have the upper hand? You don't care about your mother anymore?" I shook off his hand. "Don't threaten me. I'm not your mistress anymore." He looked stunned. "Dedicated? It's like you suddenly understood something." Squinting his eyes. "Are you faking your obedience? When my family wasn't bankrupt, Olivia and I fought for so many years. How could I really be obedient?" I walked past him without looking back. "Noah, it's important to know oneself. If you fired an employee, don't expect them to come back. There are plenty of companies in the world. Also, Ryan had paid for my mother's treatment for a year yesterday. Actually, Noah had kept his promise. When I was in jail, my mother's expenses were never delayed by a day, and Noah even visited her a few times. But at that time, he claimed he saw me as a sister and said he was on a business trip, so he was taking care of her in my absence. My mother couldn't move and couldn't call me, but luckily, Noah was good at comforting her and making her feel at ease. However, I didn't feel grateful to him at all. I worked diligently and tirelessly as his mistress. If there was an award for being a diligent mistress, I would definitely make the list. But he wasn't a good boss. Instead of promoting and increasing salaries for employees, he brought them imprisonment. As I reached the door of the private room, I turned back and mocked him. "Noah, you are so hypocritical. Which brother would sleep with his sister?" Noah gritted his teeth. "Is it being in prison that made you so vulgar?" When I first entered prison, I treaded carefully, like walking on thin ice. No one dared to offend me, but I was almost beaten to death. Couldn't even get soup during meals. Later, I fought back, ending up lying in bed, unable to move. It was Fiona who protected me. She was smooth and ruthless. No one dared to mess with her in prison. Hearing about my family's bankruptcy, she fell silent for a moment, sighed. "Before I came in, I visited your father on behalf of the company. She shared her food with me, taught me how to read people, how to please others with tough characters. She taught me how to fight the hardest, how to either endure getting hit or be ready to risk my life if I fight back. You may survive getting hit, but fighting back is uncertain. Think carefully," Fiona taught me. I looked at my arms dripping with blood and closed my eyes. I had earnestly wanted to be a dedicated mistress, but ended up in prison. I had humbly wanted to be a well-behaved prisoner, but was treated like a dog. I had enough. I was fed up with this world that bullies people. I once wanted to compromise in this world. I crushed my wealthy lady pride and ground it into dust. But the world just ignored me. I lay in bed watching my blood staining the sheets red. At that moment, my pride was pieced back together, bit by bit, inside me, making me lift my head with a face full of dirt and shame. From that day on, I refused to compromise or endure. I could let go of my life, but I couldn't bear to lose my dignity. I would reclaim the lost face, even if it meant risking my life. Every day, I fought without caring for my life. I traded scars for dignity. The price was several fierce scars, and saying goodbye to wearing low-cut clothes forever. And now, I must replay the incidents in prison in this circle. When I returned, I didn't know what Ryan had told others. Everyone looked at me with respect in their eyes. Ryan's family was new money, but currently rising strong, making many people look down on them while also fearing them, knowing about the fierceness of Ryan's family and warning their children not to provoke them. After a meal, Ryan got drunk and grabbed my hand, swaying as he walked outside. Noah's face turned grim. "Where do you think you're going?" I was puzzled. Going home with Ryan? Where else? Noah took a deep breath, gritted his teeth. "Shouldn't you go check on your mom?" I blinked. Now, in the middle of the night, Noah fell silent. Olivia looked up at him, looking uneasy. "Noah, I'm not feeling well." Noah then realized, "I'll take you home." As I got into Ryan's car, my phone buzzed, and I glanced down to see a message from Noah. "I'll give you one more chance to come back to me." I couldn't help but chuckle and showed the message to Ryan. Leaning on his chin, Ryan said, 3 points. I asked him, "When can I take action?" "Over 8 points," he replied. I nodded, closed my eyes, and remained silent. We sat together in the back seat for a while without speaking. He then dropped me off at an empty apartment he owned, and as I was getting out of the car, Ryan suddenly said, "New money isn't all brainless. Some are reliable." I didn't understand why he brought that up and just nodded blankly. He stared at me, his eyes shining brightly in the darkness. "After everything is done, what do you want to do?" I shook my head. "I haven't thought about it." He smiled at me, then closed the door. I turned and went upstairs, thinking as I walked. My smile was quite charming. Early the next morning, I received a call from my mother's hospital. "Miss Anna, sorry we don't have any more beds available at our hospital. We'll refund your fees. Please transfer your mother to another hospital." I was stunned. Can they do that? But after a while, it dawned on me. That hospital had shares owned by Noah's family. I called Ryan and he immediately contacted the hospital, arranging for a better one to admit my mother. Ryan took my mom away with the doctor. I stayed back to pack up her things. He was efficient and got my mom settled in less than an hour. Just then, Noah showed up. I saw him about to leave, and he stood at the doorway, blocking my path. "Don't you want to see me?" I raised an eyebrow and replied, "You can't even tolerate a sick person like my mom, and you expect me to be grateful to you?" Noah frowned and said, "Anna, you know how to make me change my mind. Stay away from Ryan, and I might consider continuing your mom's treatment." I interrupted. "No need to consider. I transferred my mom to another hospital." I stepped aside, showing him the empty room. "Now we have nothing to do with each other anymore." Noah was shocked for a moment, then clenched his teeth. "You think you can just walk away?" he said coldly. "What's gotten into you?" "So what? Ryan is younger and more handsome than you, with no ex-girlfriend bothering him." I chuckled. "Noah, where do you measure up to him? Not even a little bit." Noah's temple veins popped out. "Anna, you are testing my patience." He grabbed my chin. "How dare you act this way?" He kissed me with anger, trying to dominate me. He held my arms tightly behind my back, and I couldn't break free. I stopped struggling, like a puppet, letting Noah do as he pleased with no reaction from me. Noah paused. "You didn't used to be like this when I kissed you before." I wiped my mouth disdainfully. "Before, I was obedient and dedicated to my work." Noah's face darkened. He held my face and kissed me once more, yet still no response. I stood there like a lifeless doll. "Noah, what's gotten into you?" I sneered, grabbed alcohol wipes from my bag, and scrubbed my mouth vigorously, indifferent to the pungent smell. "What's with me? I'm done," I said coldly. "Back then, I devoted myself to you and you threw me into prison. And now you come back asking what's going on with me?" I wiped my hands with the wipe, threw it in the trash, and walked past him. "Noah, thank you for kicking my mom out of the hospital. Now we have no more connection." "I hope you're happy," Noah growled behind me. "Anna, you used to love me. I could see it in your eyes." I chuckled even more. "Then one of us definitely needs to see an eye doctor." I called Ryan and briefly explained. When I mentioned Noah kissing me twice, Ryan hesitated. "I'll be with you whenever you see him." I was puzzled. "What about the plan?" I said. "I picked you because of your strength, but taking down Noah doesn't require you," Ryan replied calmly. "At least not in this way." I hung up, took a few steps forward because from the corner of my eye I saw Noah. His face was unsuspecting, brows furrowed, walking out of the hospital towards the parking lot. I pretended to check my phone and walk towards the parking lot to create a chance encounter. When I reached Noah, I twisted my high heels harshly and hurled myself to the ground. My ankle immediately swelled and a piercing pain erupted. But it didn't matter. I was used to enduring pain in prison. Noah paused briefly before quickly approaching me, moving closer until his worried expression was clearly visible. Despite the tension in my forehead, a sense of relief filled my heart. It was odd how easily accessible things were often undervalued, while elusive matters preoccupied our thoughts constantly. Now, Noah was holding me tightly with concern. During my time in prison, he had never shown such care. He had been by my side at the doctor's, meticulously managing my medications. When Olivia called, Noah answered saying, "Olivia, I'm in a meeting right now, can't talk. Please call me back later," before hanging up. I looked down, remembering how Noah used to disconnect my calls in the past, and I had foolishly trusted him. CT scans, fractured bones, safety gear, limited movement. Noah comforted me, saying, "It's nothing, you'll recover in a few days." I agreed, though deep down I knew better. In the old Anna's world, a broken bone was a major issue requiring months of immobility. But in the prison version of Anna, a fractured bone was as trivial as hair loss. Just eat, fight, and sleep. Standing up revealed the terrible scars on my waist from a toothbrush attack. After my time in jail, I realized that even a simple folded paper could be used as a weapon to stab someone's neck. Noah's grip on my arm tightened as he gestured incredulously towards my waist. "What happened here?" I replied casually. "Got stabbed in prison." Noah froze as if he'd heard something horrifying. I limped away, unguarded and silent. Noah followed quickly, embracing me from behind. "You used to fear pain," he murmured. "I didn't anticipate this. Naturally, people like them would never understand what jail life is like." He held me tighter. "I get why you've been distancing yourself, Anna. Let me make it right. I never thought it would end up like this." I looked away, nearing my destination. Noah left me downstairs, grateful I wasn't living with Ryan. He then asked, "Why don't you move back in with me?" I'm hesitant. "I'm worried you might not take care of yourself." Surprised, I responded, "Forget about Ryan. What if Olivia finds out? Will you send me back to jail?" Noah looked down, disappointed. "No, not this time." I couldn't believe it. I didn't expect it to be that severe. I thought you'd just take away my freedom. I laughed bitterly, thinking back to how confident I was, believing that someone like him would disregard a fleeting relationship used out of spite. "You have Olivia, I have Ryan. Let's not create more problems between us." Noah remained silent. As I went upstairs to wash and eat, I glanced out the window to see Noah still downstairs smoking. After he left, I texted Ryan about the situation. He arrived late that night with iodine and protective gear. Despite Noah's lack of concern, Ryan carefully treated my wounds with the gear and iodine. He frowned. "You're too reckless." I shrugged. What other choice do I have to succeed? Ryan wrapped my foot in gauze. "If your plan relies on recklessness, I'd rather quit." He treated my injury cautiously, worried about hurting me. I felt strong emotions. Relying on myself, I could defeat him in 6 months. "I'm just impatient." Ryan looked up. "But I can take it slow." I shook my head. "Ryan, you don't understand. I have to do this on my own. It's my obsession. Otherwise, I'll regret it forever." Ryan disagreed, and I added, "If I can't pull this off, I'd rather return to jail." Ryan stared at me for a long time before conceding. What about after you've achieved it? You have to plan ahead. You can't just go back to jail. I shook my head again. I don't know yet. I just want to take Noah down. Ryan sighed. Do you have any hobbies? You've learned a lot from following Noah. Any interests? I thought for a moment. Not really. Everything was just to please Noah. Ryan persisted. What about before Noah? I wasn't sure why he was asking, but then remembered, when my family wasn't bankrupt, I enjoyed gardening. The balcony was full of flowers and plants, and there was a greenhouse in the yard, all maintained by me without any help. Ryan nodded. I'll find you a part-time maid so you can rest these days and not rush to find Noah. I declined. No, don't treat me as weak. You've seen me in jail. You know what I'm like there. Ryan smiled. You truly are the one I've chosen. Rest well. After Ryan left, I had vivid dreams of my little garden with all the flowers wilted because in prison I couldn't water them. I cried out to Noah, Olivia, and all my friends, but they just laughed and watched. No one helped. Finally, Ryan reached out. I can help you, but you have to help me with the plan. He pointed at Noah. Help me bring him down. I want to take over his territory. In my dream, I nodded fiercely at Noah's cold face. I dreamed all night, and when I woke up in the morning, I saw 2 messages on my phone. One was from Noah asking if I was still in pain and saying he would bring breakfast. The other was from Ryan, who sent me an address for a large plot of land on the outskirts, asking if I'd like it for a garden once everything is settled. I didn't respond. I had once trusted and relied on someone, but it ended badly. Now, I don't want to depend on anyone again. In a complex place like prison, I survived on my own. Why depend on anyone now? Noah arrived early the next morning looking for me, but I wasn't there. He called, "Where did you go so early?" I was having a sandwich at a convenience store and told him Ryan was worried and took me to the hospital for a checkup. Noah was displeased. "But I brought you breakfast and pain reliever." I replied, "Ryan's going to the office soon. If you're free, wait for me. If not, forget it." Noah hesitated, clenching his teeth. "I'll wait." He had never waited for anyone before. Always others waited for him. I sensed his displeasure. I spent the morning shopping and having afternoon tea, almost forgetting how to shop after 3 years in prison. After 10, he called, "Are you coming back?" I was getting my nails done and told him, "Ryan wants to have lunch with me." He asked me to wait for him. "You can go back first." I hung up. Noah called again, but I didn't answer. After a while, he sent a message. "Anna, don't treat me this way. I know you're getting your nails done. I heard the noise. You used to care so much about me. Why are you treating me like this now? It hurts." I glanced at my phone and chuckled. Before jail, I had messaged him begging, "Noah, don't treat me this way. I'm scared." But he didn't reply. His lawyer just advised me to reform. I texted Noah, "I'll be 1 more hour. Can you wait?" He responded with just 1 word, "Wait." An hour later, I saw Noah's silver Bentley downstairs. He was leaning against the car door, smoking. Upon hearing my footsteps, he opened his eyes through the smoke, bloodshot, and asked accusatively, "Did you do that on purpose to make me wait?" He seemed confused. "Anna, you used to care about me deeply. What can I do to make things right?" He bowed his head. "I know you still love me, Anna. I give up, okay?" I looked at him quietly. After a while, I reached out my hand. "Noah, I can't walk anymore. Carry me upstairs." Noah bent down, lifted me up, and carried me upstairs obediently. He poured me water, helped me remove my shoes, and did things he never did before. He even went to the grocery store, took off his expensive suit jacket, and made me a meal. Watching him work, I felt resentful of my former self. If this could change Noah's heart, what was the point of my past efforts? Olivia called while Noah was in the kitchen preparing soup. Tomorrow was Olivia's birthday, and also the anniversary of Noah's engagement to Olivia. Olivia asked, "What are we doing tomorrow?" Noah, focused on the bubbling pot, replied impatiently, "Figure it out yourself." He hung up, then served me a bowl of soup, saying, "Break up with Ryan, okay? I can cook for you and take care of you forever." He looked at my waist, then lowered his head. "I owe you." I drank the soup silently. Noah helped clean the room, and while doing so, I answered Ryan's call. "Hey, what's up?" "Ryan, is Noah there?" I answered. Yes, I replied. Wait for me. You can't move around easily. I'm afraid he'll take advantage of you. I said sternly, Don't forget what I told you. Ryan hesitated, then gritted his teeth. I shouldn't have collaborated with you in the first place. It's been troublesome every day now. I hung up. Noah asked, Ryan? I nodded. He's worried I'll be bored, so he wants me to work at his company. Noah put on his coat and left, looking upset. But he returned. Our family has a business in another city. Would you like to go there? You can be a manager directly. He looked at me eagerly and said, Anna, let's move away from this city and start over. Let's begin anew. I thought for a while and nodded. I'll give you another chance. Noah was thrilled. I knew you couldn't forget about me. I smiled softly. 8 points. Get started. Noah got me into that company. It wasn't directly tied to his family's business, and outsiders didn't know about it. Ryan arrived. I'm worried Noah will exploit you. I've been staying here this whole time. He looked deeply into my eyes. The plan isn't important now. Your safety is more important. I avoided his gaze, changing the subject. Emotionally, once disadvantaged, that's enough. I immersed myself in the company, initially met with skepticism, but I handled manipulative and criminal individuals with ease, making normal work manageable. I worked hard, demonstrating strong skills and eagerness, quickly earning my colleagues' acceptance. Noah visited several times, clearly appreciating me. I gradually gained everyone's trust. Although I wasn't involved in the company's core finances, the finance department no longer shunned me. I often worked late into the night, staying alone until the early hours. One night, Noah called me drunk. Anna, I bought a villa nearby. It's fully furnished. I checked it out. There's a good international school in the area. If we have children in the future, we won't have to worry about their education. I was puzzled. Why are you telling me this? Noah smiled happily. I want to set up a home with you in that city, have a few kids. I asked, what about Olivia? Noah shrugged. She won't come to this city. She won't have any interaction with you. This place will be ours. I felt disgusted but smiled gently. Then you better give me a promotion first. The following week, I became the company's vice president. I worked even harder, never leaving the office until everyone else did, as that's when I could accomplish tasks more easily. Ryan assigned 2 programmers to help me hack into the company's computers at night to obtain what I needed. Every day, I worked until early morning, sleeping only 4 hours before rushing back to work. I lost 10 pounds, had dark circles under my eyes, swollen lymph nodes, and occasional rashes on my body. All the consequences of staying up late. Ryan frowned. Are you planning to drive Noah away with your life? Is it worth it? I smiled. It's worth it. They once stepped on my face and rubbed me against the ground. But I'm more vain than brave. Late at night, I drank strong coffee in the company, thinking of Fiona. She not only taught me how to survive in prison, but also many other skills, like falsifying accounts, laundering money, manipulating the stock market, and distinguishing major events from minor details. When I was released, Fiona helped me fix my hair. We are both abandoned children, she sighed. I have to stay a few more years, but you're different. You can go out there and show them that even abandoned children can turn the tables. Fiona used to be a senior executive at Noah's company, but was framed and sentenced to over 10 years. It was their modus operandi. Once you were no longer useful, they'd ruthlessly abandon you, pushing you into the abyss without apology. They treated it casually, but I found their laughter infuriating. I wanted to overturn their system, not by smashing their chessboard, but by exposing their arrogance using the identity of a castaway. I set aside my coffee, put away the hard drive, and went downstairs to have dinner with Ryan. Ryan had been keeping me company for half a year. He smiled. My parents are full of energy every day. Me staying at the company is also bothering them. He lowered his head while cutting steak. I might as well keep you company. I took a sip of white wine and changed the subject. It's been half a year. The evidence collection is almost done. Ryan raised his glass. Thank goodness you finally don't have to see Noah anymore. He sneered. Noah still wants to settle down with you. Does he know he's engaged? I chuckled. How can you have moral expectations for Noah? My hard drive is almost full with evidence of Noah's family money laundering, illegal foreign exchange, and securities manipulation. The so-called old money are arrogant as if their necks wouldn't bend or heads bow, but beneath them lies a murky, foul-smelling world. This company was specifically created by Fiona to do dirty work for Noah's family. She knows exactly where the evidence is on each person's computer. I've visited her before. She got a reduced sentence for good behavior. Seeing me, she smiled happily. Anna, you look so good since you've been out. All dressed up. Don't come back here. This place is bad luck. I nodded with a smile. Okay, I'll wait outside to greet you. As I was leaving, I told her, the evidence against Noah's family has been collected. Essentially, they're all going to be exposed. Fiona froze for a moment, tears welling up, urging me to leave quickly. As I walked out, I heard her crying loudly inside. No one dared to mess with Fiona in prison. The Fiona who was willing to fight to the end now looked like a child burdened with grievances. She had sold herself to Noah's family at 22, worked hard for over a decade, was too busy to marry, and was abandoned and thrown into prison in seconds. Compared to her, my grievances were nothing. As I walked out of prison, I took a deep breath and made a call. Hello, I want to report entrepreneur Noah for money laundering. Ryan helped me stir up online attention. All the evidence spread across the internet, and public opinion was outraged. Noah's family became the target of everyone's anger and were under intense scrutiny. Noah's empire crumbled in panic, and Ryan seized the chance to take over many of Noah's businesses. He looked like a hunting wolf, devouring his prey mercilessly. Noah hadn't visited me that month. He had been working tirelessly, saving the family business with an IV drip. But he called me, saying, "It's you." I nodded firmly, yes. Noah seemed puzzled. Why? Have I not been good enough for you? I laughed. These young masters and mistresses, if they condescend to look at someone they think should be eternally grateful. I remembered a dream where Noah fell in love with me because of my dedication to work. A beautiful ending like Cinderella marrying the prince. I chuckled with tears in my eyes at my past foolishness. I bring greetings from Fiona to your family in prison. Hope you enjoy your stay there. Noah fell silent for a few seconds. How do you know Fiona? Thanks to you, I became friends with her in prison. Noah abruptly ended the call. I may not have the power to harm you, but Fiona is enough to make me afraid. Still panicked, Noah managed to find time to hire the best lawyers to sue me for business crimes. But before the case was filed, Noah's family collapsed. He was the first to fall, and several others in his family followed, all ending up in prison. I went to see Fiona again. The guard said Fiona had been behaving well and might be released in 5 years. Hearing about Noah's family's downfall, Fiona smiled, sending others to prison all along. Now it's their turn to taste their own medicine. She asked me, "What's your next move?" I thought for a moment, recalling images of my little garden with fragrant, delicate flowers, and said, "I might open a flower shop." Fiona laughed. "I would come work at your flower shop in the future." I laughed too. With you on board, we might as well make this flower shop go public, right? Walking out of prison, I got into Ryan's car. As Ryan drove, he casually asked, "Want to come to my place? I'll give you a share." I shook my head. From today on, we don't need to meet so often. I have my own things to do. Ryan turned the car to park on the side of the road. "What do you mean? How do you see me?" I turned back puzzled. As a teammate? What else? Ryan murmured a few words, drooped his eyebrows, and drove off. After 50 meters, he stopped again. Does it have to be just teammates? Can it change? I looked at his disappointed expression, like a golden retriever unable to get the chew toy, and burst into laughter. The sunlight shone on the side of his face, just like the day he picked me up from prison. I lowered my head, holding back a smile. Let's see how it goes. Ryan exclaimed in surprise. Does this mean there's hope? He regained his enthusiasm, turned the steering wheel, and whistled as he drove us forward. The sunlight ahead shone perfectly on us, warm and comforting. Several years later, on a sunny afternoon, I sat in the flower shop tending to my plants when a disheveled figure walked in, seemingly wanting to buy a bouquet, but hesitating. She turned around and saw me, shouting in surprise. "Anna, what are you doing here?" After staring for a long time, I finally recognized her as Olivia. Her family had fallen on hard times, and she didn't want to work, following my path to become someone's mistress, but I didn't want to belittle her. If it wasn't for her pushing me to leave Noah, her present would have been my future. I didn't believe Noah would be interested in a mistress for long. Maybe the day I wasn't captivating anymore, even going to jail would be too hopeful. Olivia had been worn down over the years, losing her initial arrogance and pride. Looking at me, a hint of jealousy flashed in her eyes. You've made it now, owning a flower shop and leasing a huge flower field in the suburbs covered in the news. But you've ruined us. I lowered my head. You should be glad I didn't end up like you, putting people you don't like in prison. Lifting my shirt, I showed her the wound on my waist. This is just one of them. I was stabbed several times with a toothbrush. Thought I wouldn't survive. The scar looks like a gaping maw with fangs, silently staring at the one gazing at it. Olivia took a few steps back, too scared to say anything. I chuckled. Are you scared already? I could tell you about my prison experience if you want to be even more terrified. Olivia trembled. You're not trying to scare me, are you? I shook my head. I have no intention of making things difficult for you. To cut to the chase, the one who personally sent me to prison was Noah. She was just an accomplice and has learned her lesson too. I handed her a black lily. Take this for your happy birthday, but don't come to my shop anymore. Olivia looked at the flower, her face suddenly flushed, and ran out. After a while, she returned, picked up the flower, her eyes red. I know what you mean, but I haven't received flowers in a long time. She lowered her head, choked up. I'll take it as your blessing. Watching her in tears, I thought for a moment, took the black lily back, and exchanged it for an African chrysanthemum. Don't come back again. After Olivia left, Fiona walked out from behind the flower shelf, softened up. Didn't you? She's not the main culprit. I shook my head. Let's go check out the next shop. At the shop door, Ryan stuck his head out of the car. Where to next? I'll drive you. Fiona teased me with a smile. Is he still your teammate? When did that change? I walked toward Ryan, saying as we walked, it's coming soon. When I become stronger, when I'm strong enough not to fear betrayal or hurt, not afraid of all the side effects of love, I'll smile and embrace love. Now, the sunlight shone on Ryan's and my faces, warm and comforting. I closed my eyes, savoring the warmth of this moment.